Using a real life deal in St. Louis, Missouri, I'm going to show you how to wholesale a house from start to finish, coming up.
For a limited time, you can get a free copy of Jerry Norton's Data Cruncher software, which finds cheap houses in your area. Get it now at mydatacruncher.com.
If you're new here, I'm Jerry Norton. I make millions of dollars a year wholesaling and flipping houses, and here on my YouTube channel, I show you how to do the same. So if you want to be a flipping genius like me and live your dream life, subscribe to my channel and watch my videos. The deal I'm using as a case study in this video is actually a property that I'm buying from a wholesaler. So I'm the cash buyer. Let me explain. Not only do I love to wholesale houses, but I also fix and flip properties virtually all over the US. After nearly 20 years as a full-time flipper, I've got the capital and I developed systems to fix and flip houses anywhere in the US. My biggest problem is finding enough good deals. That's where you come in. I developed a finder program where I pay $10,000 for deals that meet my criteria. It's called the 10K Club, and I have a free training to learn exactly how it works and how you can get paid $10,000 for every deal you bring me that meets my criteria. If that sounds exciting to you, go to my10kcheck.com to learn more. This deal in St. Louis was brought to me by one of my finders who is brand new to real estate. He just got started 30 days prior, so this was his first deal. Now, first, I'm going to show you how he found the deal. Second, what made it a good deal for me to buy. Third, how he secured the contract with the seller. And finally, how he assigned the deal to me and got paid $10,000. This will give you a full understanding of how to wholesale a house. All right, are you ready? Let's go. This property was actually on market, which means it was listed for sale with a real estate agent. The backstory is that the seller was an investor who started rehabbing the house and then for whatever reason ran out of money or interest and was highly motivated to get rid of this property, so he priced it aggressively at $100,000. This house is in a great up and coming neighborhood called Gravis Park, just a few blocks from Cherokee Park. Now, the house was a former duplex and is being converted into a single family. It's 1,847 square feet, 4 beds and 2 baths. Now, some features that I really like is it has 9-foot ceilings, which is great for an older home. It has a separate dining, has multiple fireplaces and hardwood floors in most of the house. It also has a private backyard. Now, it does have a basement, but no garage, which is typical for that area. So how did my finder student get this deal? Well, as soon as it was listed for sale, he immediately contacted the agent and made an all-cash offer. Now, after some back and forth, the seller agreed to a price of $90,000. Now, in a minute, I'll show you how I established value and why that was a good deal. But first, let me explain the mechanics of locking up a deal. In order to secure the deal, my finder student had to execute a written contract with the seller called a purchase and sale agreement. The purchase and sale agreement legally commits the seller from selling the property to anyone else. Now, if this were a private seller with no agent, the wholesaler would be responsible for providing and executing the purchase and sale agreement. By the way, if you want my exact purchase and sale agreement that I've perfected over the past 20 years, I'll give it to you for free. Just go to wholesalercontracts.com. But since this was on market, the real estate agent handles providing and filling out the contract. Now keep in mind, with on-market deals, even though the agent handles the contract, you still need to explain to the agent exactly what you want included in the contract. Now, I'll review the most important things now, but be sure to get my 10-point agent offer sheet as well as my agent scripts so you know exactly how to work with agents on distressed properties. I'll give that to you for free. Just go to agentofferscripts.com. So aside from getting the contract for $90,000, my finder student also got a 30-day closing. That means the closing or transfer of ownership will take place 30 days from the time of executing the contract. He also got a 10-day inspection contingency. That means after executing the contract, my finder student has a full 10 days to perform due diligence. And since he brought the deal to me, during that time is when I verified it was a good deal. He also agreed to pay $500 in earnest money. Now, earnest money is an upfront good faith deposit held in escrow until closing. Now, this shows the seller that you're serious about buying the property, but remember, since he had a 10-day inspection contingency, The $500 earnest money does not go hard or become non-refundable until after the 10 days. That means if I did not want the deal and he couldn't find another buyer, he could terminate the contract in the 10-day window and get his $500 earnest money refunded to him. But once all the contingencies are met, if for some reason he was unable to perform according to the terms of the contract, he would forfeit his $500 earnest money to the seller. And keep in mind, earnest money is almost always required with on-market properties. So what if you don't have the cash up front for the earnest money? That's a common question I get. Here's a pro tip you could try. In your contract, put that earnest money is to be paid after your 10-day inspection. Then during the 10-day window, find your cash buyer and have him pay the earnest money. Of course, the agent and the seller would have to agree to that, but that technique is common in my Finder program, and I have no problem paying earnest money on deals that I accept. There's one more thing that you need to be prepared for with on-market properties, and that is proof of funds. Most agents are going to require that you show proof that you can buy the property for all cash. And of course, if you're in my Finder program, I give you custom proof of funds so you can make offers with confidence. Again, to learn how to be a finder for me and get $10,000 for every deal that meets my criteria, go to my10kcheck.com. After securing the contract, the real estate agent opened escrow with a local title company with a 30-day closing. That means the title company will do a title search and begin preparing for the closing, and my finder has 10 days to do his due diligence on the property, which takes us to the next step, finding the cash buyer. At this point, if you're wholesaling, you need to find a cash buyer who wants the deal and is willing to pay you for the right to take over your contract. Since this was a student in my Finder program, he brought the deal to me. But what do you do if Jerry's not your buyer? Well, you would need to find your own cash buyer. I did a video that explains the fastest and most effective method to find a cash buyer for your deal. I'll put the link to that video in the description below and you can check it out later. But since he brought me this deal, it was time for me to do what I call a deal analysis. What made this a good deal for me to buy for $90,000 and pay my Finder student a $10,000 fee? Well, my intention is to fix and flip this house. So first, I need to feel good about the future value of the home after I fix it up. In other words, after it's renovated, what would a retail buyer pay for this property in that neighborhood? We call that the after repair value, or ARV. In order to determine the ARV of a property, we need to look at relevant comparables, or comps. Comps are other properties that have recently sold and are actively for sale that are renovated, similar in style and features, and in the same neighborhood. The goal is to find enough comps to establish a trend in the market. Remember, the market doesn't lie. Buyers determine the values. Now, if you're new to comping deals, I developed a software tool that will do it for you, and I'll give it to you for free. Just go to compmydeal.com to get that. But let me show you the comps I selected to determine the ARV. As of this recording, the market is slowing down, so I decided to only look at sold comps that were less than 3 months old. Now, normally I would look back 6 months and maybe even go up to 12 months, but because the market is slowing, I only want to look at the most recent sold data. So let's look at the first comp I used. This comp is literally 1 block away from my deal, and as you can see, it is really well done. The rehab is really nice. Everything is updated and modern. It does have a carport and an extra half bath, but it is only a 3-bedroom, and my deal is a 4-bedroom. Now, this house sold quickly for full price for $290,000, which came to $152 per square foot. The next comp I selected was this house, which is also about a block away. Now, it's a few hundred square feet bigger, even though it's still a 3-bedroom. This house is also nicely renovated and has a fenced yard with a carport, and it also sold for $152 per square foot. So I hope you get the idea. I'm looking for similar renovated homes in the same neighborhood that have recently sold. Now, ideally, I like to get 5 or 6 comps and establish an average value. But again, because the market is currently slowing down, I also want to pay attention to actives and pending homes for sale and how long they've been sitting on the market. For example, this house is an over-the-top rehab currently priced at $156 per square foot for over 45 days now, and it hasn't sold. Now that tells me that homes aren't selling quickly at $156 a foot. Now this one is another active home in the neighborhood, and it's a really nice rehab as well, and it's priced at $158 per square foot, but it's only been on the market about 3 weeks. This one right here is currently pending after only 7 days on the market at a price of $155 per square foot. So, taking into consideration all of this data and anticipating the market may slow a little bit more by the time I come back on market for sale after rehabbing the house, I decided to use $147 per square foot, which gives me $275,000 as an ARV. So that means if I can make this house match those comps in quality, I should be able to sell my deal for $275,000. But again, to get $275,000, I need to do a really nice rehab, including deck and probably a carport. I need to update the kitchen and baths, redo the hardwood floors, and so on. To do that, it's going to cost every bit of $75,000. So let's do some math using my deal analyzer. Right here is the square foot of my deal, which is 1,874. Here is my ARV price per square foot of 147. Here's my ARV price of 275,000. Right here is the rehab budget of 75,000. Now these are what we call soft costs. The first is closing and commissions, which will come to approximately 9% of ARV or $24,000. This right here is carrying costs, which if I were to do a rehab loan and borrow the money to purchase and renovate this house, it would cost me about $16,000 in financing fees. That means if I buy this house for $90,000 and I pay my finder $10,000, I'll make a $59,000 profit, and I'm okay with that, which is why $90,000 is a good deal for this house. This is referred to as the fix and flip buy formula, and I'll give you this deal analyzer for free as well. Just go to mydealanalyzer.com. Now it's very important you learn what your cash buyers want so that you can bring them deals that fit their criteria. For the best explanation you'll ever find for determining your buy price as a wholesaler, be sure to watch a video where I break it down in detail. You know the drill, I'll put the link in the description below. Now once I determined that this was a good deal, I executed an assignment agreement with my finder student for $100,000. The assignment simply says the contract between the finder and the seller is being assigned to me for a $10,000 fee. So we called title, we gave them the assignment, and on the day of closing, I paid a total of $100,000 plus closing fees. $90,000 went to the seller, less his commissions and fees, and $10,000 went to my finder student. Now you can see right here on the closing statement, it shows a $10,000 fee being paid out at the closing. And that's how it's done. If you found this step-by-step explanation using a real life deal helpful, leave a comment and say, "Thank you, Jerry, you're a flipping genius." Now here's what I want you to think about. Imagine if you could do one deal a month like this. Imagine if you could do 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 a month like this. Now that would be a complete game changer and transformational, but you have to get started. Watch this next video where I explain how to get your first deal in the next 30 days, and I want you to know that I believe in you. You have what it takes, and when it comes down to it, at least for me, it's not about the money, it's about having the time and freedom to have, be, do, and give everything God has in store for you. That's really what it's all about, and I'll see you on the next video.